Hello everyone, and welcome to another Siege and Sandfox livestream. I'm the designer of the project, Chris Wilson, and joining me is Aidan Howe.
Hello.
Hi, and welcome back. It's been a little while. I think it's been like 4 or 5 weeks. I jinxed it by saying, oh, we'll start doing it more regularly. But
It's been so long, Chris, that I've forgotten to open Twitch, so I'm going to do that now.
oh my god. But there's a screen share. You're fine. You're fine.
Oh, I need to see chat though, don't I?
Oh, of course. Okay. Yes. But hey, with good reason. This has expanded quite a lot. And I think before we get into this, actually, we'll just jump straight over to the latest package build and just kind of talk through things as they come up. Because, yeah, we've had a bit of a more focused milestone from before. I mean, we've always got something in mind, but I think this is more of like a... Would you say it's probably the closest we've done to a vertical slice for quite some time?
I'm calling it a vertical slice.
Okay.
Whether people like it or not.
Okay,
no,
he's going for it.
It's very much a vertical slice. It just doesn't really do much of the mid to late game stuff. Unfortunately, there is some of that there, but
right, just need to alt tab just a second. There we go. Right. Yes. So I'm trying to think. Already, what is different? We'll leave the ghosts alone for now. We'll talk about those. But
reports of being a little bit quiet.
Everything being a bit quiet.
Everything, I think. Other people are saying it sounds good.
I mean,
I did.
We'll see what happens because I did, do the old loop back, and it seemed reasonable to me. Video games, right? Yes. Okay. So already things have changed quite a lot because we have this whole color shift thing going on. But I'll move over to. Because the funny thing is, I don't even think about it anymore. Like this, they used to be a complete different color, right? The player.
Yes. Or, well, yes and no.
You seem extra loud now, by the way.
Yeah, I've been told that I'm the only one that's quiet. So,
can I give you a little boost?
Maybe.
Hang on. I reckon I can.
Okay.
Let's. Okay, put yourself down a little bit and then we'll see if this sounds any better for anyone.
Yes. Well, I've put myself back to where I was before reports. So.
Sorry guys, Windows update including lots of new audio stuff. It's always fun.
Completely changed all of my settings. I don't know about you, Chris.
I was mostly unscathed, but yeah, obviously I'm extra rolling the dice because I have 2 sound cards, so good luck everything being the same. Right, I'll move to a light source so we can show this off. This bit hasn't really changed at all, to be honest, so I'll just move through it pretty briskly. And then we can see a good example of where things have changed. Okay, so yes, something we've sort of been messing with for a long time. This is the color the player used to be all of the time. And they would get progressively lighter or darker, but stay the same colors, right? They didn't change at all. It's been so long now, I'm trying to remember myself.
There was some post-processing in and out of light to try and telegraph this, but there was nothing done on a per sprite basis.
Right.
Was there?
Well, it was very minor.
There was something, but it wasn't this cool.
But now, obviously, yeah, you've got a total shift between 2 complete sets, and we'll show how that works. Well, show a little bit about how it works. I wouldn't claim to know exactly. And so this is just building towards us having a system to actually show when you're hidden and when you're not hidden, because it's always something we've wanted and we've always had a little bit of it, but now hopefully it's much clearer because actually everything is unified now. Like if you're this color, then you are considered invisible to the AI and all the other systems as well. Whereas before it was kind of implied and they were kind of similar, but now they're all exactly the same.
People can see that it even works for rats.
Exactly. Even rats have visibility. I do need to fix that rat because at some point they got their class changed, I think, and now I upped their movement speed, and now they move too slowly. It's sad. But anyway, yes, as you can see, even rats have visibility. Well, will you do anything with that? Who knows, but it looks nice. Okay, let's keep going. I'm trying to think what else has changed. A lot of stuff that's changed is really, under the hood stuff, which, it actually feels so much nicer. Like, it doesn't keep falling over as well with the player controller stuff. Oh yeah, we do the markup completely differently as well now. Completely forgotten about that as well.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that in more detail in a bit, but a general way, we've started working now, which is quite nice. Again, this is something that was implied, but now it's kind of enforced by actually the way things are set up, is that if a tile map looks like this, then something needs to be done, like, there's an art pass or something.
It's a glitch in the matrix, Chris. It happens when they change something.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And in this case, yeah, we can perhaps swing back around to this later, but we're discussing making some changes to this room, so that's why things are a little different. But yeah, I'll just do this. Look at that guy. He looks so bored. Just can't wait until we can start throwing in some idle animations and stuff like that. Because again, like, functionally now he's correct. There should be another person, obviously, but like it just needs to cough and splutter and get bored.
Life's never boring when you've got fire on the end of a stick.
It's true. Oh, we need our bats back as well. They'll turn up. Anyway, I said, like, we'll just keep moving.
People will notice there you're not colliding with what they might expect you to, because the design telegraphing there, the markup layer has complete authority now.
Yes.
Over everything.
Sorry, again, it's just you become blind to it when you stare at it all day long. Yes, so yeah, as you say, they are completely separate now, which is great because it means I can quickly change stuff like this without upsetting art. I don't have to go in and sort of delete stuff and make a mess of their things. I can just say I want this, and they can probably just adapt it. But yeah, no, it works much better this way than how we had it before. But hey, it was obvious with the benefit of hindsight to do it that way. Right, another rat. And this room has just become one of these like spare rooms now. We used to have one of the stealth challenges in it. It never quite worked, and now we've kind of moved them earlier. And so yeah, we just don't need it. But I think it's kind of nice, just a little.
Question from chat: if you get spotted, will the character's color change? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, so there certainly there's some stuff to figure out with that. Well, I'll just go up to this guy so we can see what I'm talking about.
We could do that, but the color change the weight of it seems to be more useful for doing light dark telegraphing. And then if you get spotted, it'll probably be more full screen effects that we use to telegraph that everyone's alert now, and it doesn't matter whether you're in the light or the dark. They're going to become
I mean, so this is the thing, right? So like, yeah, as it works at the moment, the theory is, right, I am potentially visible. It's not the same as being seen. There's question marks at the moment over the fact that at the moment, yeah, if I stand here, he literally cannot see me, even if he turned round, which doesn't feel right if he's already seen me. And we already kind of have things to handle that, like you continue to track you for a distance even when he technically can't see you. But yeah, it's once again where you feel very jealous of games that have a more contemporary setting, because you can just say the flashlight is both the light and their view cone, and then you don't have that problem. But I think it's getting better, because it used to be the case that not only could you not tell, but you couldn't, there's no way to tell, and also it wasn't consistent. It's like, oh, well, maybe they can see you, maybe they can't. Whereas now, at least it's clear. But yeah, that kind of has seen you previously, can see you now state. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I think it can probably be made clear by what they do. Like, we're not having these huge setups, so if they continue chasing you after seeing you, I think it's probably clear that they still know where you are. Okay, Hester's still here. Oh, the flickering has been fixed. So one of the side effects of doing things this way is that we're actually doing it properly now. In fact, I can show you if I use Joe's debug. If we just look over here, so you can see that's your current light level, and you can see these little, well, maybe hopefully on Twitch you can see these little lines being drawn. So it's drawn to the closest light sources that it's going to consider. But the problem with that is, obviously, the way Art have set these up, they are literally flickering, so you can see this value is changing. And until we tweaked a few things, you'd end up with, it flip-flopping between the two values, which looked horrible. But it seems like that's fixed now, so that's good. Right, and then I think things start to get a little different now, because this is all pretty new. This little area is one of the sort of new experiments in Something we've kind of always known we've wanted, but we've pushed a lot harder recently, is because it's obviously a Metroidvania and backtracking and re-exploring areas is something we want you to do. For example, in this case, it's like you can't get in here right now, but we'd like you to remember this room when you come back so you can reorientate yourself. So to be honest, I think it gives art an excuse to do exactly what they'd love to do, just make something that's very pretty that doesn't necessarily do anything, mechanically. Obviously it does something visually, and yeah, this is nice. And it's a culmination of lots of stuff that has developed over time, which is what I like. You've obviously got the normal maps, and we've got these fireflies, which are, a nice little effect that has been
incredible degree of restraint that they aren't literally everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
They do make the normal maps look great.
They do. It is hard not to do that. Again, in some ways, infinitely jealous of sci-fi games because it's easy to have endless flashing, strobing lights that make everything look cool. Yeah. But yeah, as you say, restraint does help too. Right, let me just get up here, and I'm quickly going to just switch something on my other screen. Just a minute. Yes, fine.
See, will they shout alarm, alarm like commandos? Commandos.
Oh my god.
Yes, they will make a ruckus when the player is spotted. There's a number of things. Certainly there'll be a few that pursue, some that make noise. There may be specific alert stations nearby that one of them would run to kind of raise a more general, louder alarms, like bells, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the cool... Go on.
Sorry, go on, Chris. Sorry.
No, I mean, the cool thing is, like, I definitely, at some point in the future, want to get Joe onto one of these so we can talk about it properly. But even though, again, it's still under the surface, it's starting to get closer to being seen, but the interest source way of handling things that he's been building means that all of this stuff is so easy to implement. I mean, to give an obvious easy example is the way the enemy spots you as an interest source or hears you, it creates an interest source, is exactly the same thing for this rat. So if I drop down, he runs away when I make a noise. That's all a shared system. So making a guard that raises an alarm is very easy for us to actually make. They don't yet. The thing they do, but it doesn't quite have the intended impact yet, is that if a guard does become fully alert and spots you, he does generate a large interest source around himself, so that will bring other guards to him. And obviously normally what happens in that instance is that they will spot you on the way. Oh no, I messed that up. What an idiot. Too busy talking.
You got loads of ways to deal with this. There you go.
I know. Oh, that's the worst queuing bug, by the way.
See, are we going to have Yukon problems, though?
Let's find out.
Well, that's quite tense. And no. Great.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Yes, so for example, even though it doesn't quite work right yet, in terms of like the way it's designed and the way the bits fit together, if I alerted this guy, he would make a noise loud enough that those two other guards would hear it and they'd want to investigate it. But yeah, still a few issues with that. Right.
Can you go up on a column and drop down to take out an enemy? Yes, down attacks will be a thing. Drop attacks.
Yes, they will.
We haven't worked out exactly how they're going to work yet, but they're they're definitely something that we're going to do.
Which chat are you looking at, by the way?
Twitch chat.
Okay, it never seems to work for me. I know that's ridiculous, but I mean,
no, it's often it just goes, I'm just not going to update.
So just a second, I'm just going to refresh it.
You try and, I don't know whether it does still let you pop it out. Oh, it does. Maybe try popping it out.
Yeah. Excuse me. Wait, where's the button? I'm an expert. Yeah, the cog. I remember I've had this before. Why does the pop-out one work so much better? How do you pop it out?
Click the cog and it's at the bottom of the list.
This one is.
Oh no, it's been cleared by a moderator. Was that you?
Maybe.
I feel that it may have been.
Oopsie. Okay, it just doesn't work and the button's not there. I've used it before.
Oh well.
Yeah, these are pretty new. I can't remember what they were like before, but they certainly didn't do quite all of the things that they do now. So there needs to be more of like a flow for this. I think this is more of a multi-stage thing, but at least they tell you what they are and what they do. I haven't had chance yet to go through and just trim these text strings because you can make them a lot shorter.
Yes.
You know, I mean, for example, you don't need to say any of that, like as far as I'm concerned, because hopefully that is clear that you have that. So I think you can just say knock out enemies using button. So you can like half the length of that. I still wonder if you might need to have little, little icon picture things, but we'll see. But
I don't think you need any of that text that isn't in orange. Knock out enemies and then
exactly.
unaware enemies, I think, is actually an important distinction. But you don't even need the using. You just need the button prompt, and people will get it.
Boop.
Every word we lose is cheaper localization. So
exactly. Pow.
Oh, poor guy. It was his last day to retirement, and he wore a helmet too. You shouldn't really. We haven't done that yet, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah,
I think you should still
fun.
be able to do that, but it should make a really loud noise.
Yeah. That's a good middle path, I think.
I don't normally do that, but I remember that I should probably check that it works, because obviously for a long period of time it didn't work.
I mean, that's another thing actually that we can pin to the extra difficulty of things like the Palace red shirts. When standard AI is supposed to be getting stronger, maybe you don't knock them out, and it makes a loud noise.
I think it'll be fun.
And you run away.
So this has changed quite a bit. I see, you can hear the Santa guy, but he's not here yet, is he? He's not here. So I think before this actually had more NPCs in it, but this now actually has like more correct NPCs, right? More relevant ones, rather than just like
not quite right yet, but it is a much more representative initial population. So this is to use a cultural touchstone as one of our Firelink shrine-like areas. So you can expect more NPCs to turn up as you progress through the game. As you meet them kind of out in the environment. This is one of the areas that they might retire to if they're a prison faction NPC. It's one of the two places the prison faction will go.
You've nothing we want.
And then, so again, we got the design stuff up here because this is still being worked on. We can talk about it in a bit, but I'm just curious, like, you can't get that, can you? Good, just checking. Always paranoid you might accidentally make it accessible, but it's pretty clear. Boop. Cool. Right, okay, so is that down here? Oops. And there's a new lift, but it's not quite right yet. But we wanted to add a light to it because, as we discussed, lights are cool. But yeah, there's still some stuff to be done there, isn't there? Like, gotta have the levers gotta move as well.
Yep.
Honestly, we can talk about that in a bit, the whole lift thing, because it's one of the most video game dev things I've encountered recently, where people will be like, "Oh, how making a lift? It's easy. It'll take 5 minutes." You're like, "Yeah, but it won't." Because
moving platforms you have to stand on. Yeah.
And what's the correct type of switch, and how many, and which way round does it go, and what the hell does clockwise and anti-clockwise mean?
We just and with reference to a lift.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still. Yeah, that was an interesting insight into the way Rex thinks. Do people consider like going through arrays as like clockwise and anti-clockwise?
Rotating through it?
I guess. I don't know. Yep. So again, same with this, right? Because I think, to be fair, what Keith rather was trying to do is like combine some of the flavor text you might put in a thing that we don't have yet. But actually, I think, yeah, again, you could just snip that off, and I don't think you need to say it's limited. I think you'll figure that out. So again, you can probably get.
It'd be more surprising if it was unlimited, really.
Yes. So there's something like, wall run up flat surfaces is nearly all you need. But little polish is why I haven't got around to doing it. At least it consistently works now. I think that seems to be over. If you had that, I haven't had that for quite some time now, where it's like sometimes you don't make it, because I think that was all fixed frame rate related, wasn't it?
Sorry, I was reading.
What was I saying? Yes, it used to be that sometimes like you'd not make it doing the wall runs, like they would not 100% consistent. But since we've got
frame rate gremlins. Yeah. I'm not 100% confident that Well,
I don't think it's done, but it's certainly like a lot more consistent than it used to be.
yeah, that which is dead cannot eternal lie, Chris. That's kind of what I'm
Exactly.
saying. If it's not here now, I reckon it will be back.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
This does it as well, actually, which you're suffering from right now. Look at
I
that.
know. I was just going to say, because actually, I've never had this in...
You can land it. You
packaged.
have to stick, Wang. You have to pull the stick direction towards it. There you go.
Because I had that a couple of times in Pi, where obviously the performance is worse, but I haven't actually had that in here. But actually, my performance probably is worse with all the streaming and stuff.
So its air control is actually getting you the extra distance there, which I don't think
Mm.
it should be doing. I think those jumps off the wall.
Mm.
I mean, the problem is that we activate air control after the apex of the jump when gravity takes over. And it's hard to detect when we should actually be doing that. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could look and see when you're at a lower point than you were when you started the jump, but that would feel inconsistent and weird in some circumstances. So
Even
it's
though
a
this is
tough one.
such a tiny setup, it starts to feel like a game.
Yep.
Oh my god, 2 enemies. Boop. Oops. See, that's the thing. The main thing that I did recently, which I should have done earlier, but again, it's just always easy to put off, is the size of the noise ring. It's literally twice as big, and actually it's still probably too small. But I've got so used to min-maxing like the small size that I keep alerting them, which is good. Because it means that actually having to play it properly.
It was funny that it was every time I would run away from them with the old noise ring size, I would genuinely feel like I shouldn't be getting away with this.
Yeah, it's not right.
So yeah, and I agree. Actually, they look. I mean, obviously it's better how it is. They're bigger, but I think we can possibly push it further. The only thing I worry about is them going off screen, depending on what the point of interest is doing. But I guess if we've got stealth people, we really should be trying to keep the nearest ones on screen anyway.
Yeah.
So that might be.
So yeah, I'm
something
looking at that. Like,
points of interest have to do.
you could get a bit bigger, like I don't know, another 25%. Like I said, I started with double. That was a quick like, let's try that. And I wasn't mortally offended by that.
What you mean double the diameter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're twice as big as they used to be. I also thought it's probably worth mentioning some of this stuff. So this is all really cool. It's actually worked out. Like, we found a way to, quite neatly make sure that you understand that this is a thing. I always end up doing that. Come on. Which is cool. I like it. And this is the one that feels the best. The only issue is because of the way, you want to show people these things more than once. Well, enforce it more than once, I should say, because you have to be sure they didn't just, fluke it. Oops. But you end up at the moment pulling 4 or 5 levers in a row, which is too many. I broke it. Or did I already push it? I already pushed it. When I wasn't looking. Paying attention. Okay. So I don't know how much of this we showed before. It's getting there. It's always the area that we're just not quite reaching.
Big fat none of this. I think we showed before. So this is all new stuff.
So you can see it's starting.
There's some mushrooms here, Chris.
Yeah, there's some mushrooms here, and I can see it looks like these fireflies have got the world's shortest spline, because that's it. So this is starting to get there. You can see that, we have this mushroom that fires off, and it's going to fire off these little fireflies. They're going to sort of draw a path between the two places.
Eventually.
Yeah, as I said, clearly not configured yet. I think this came in today. But hopefully, we can make this like a nice palette cleanser, because you've done a few nice stealth challenges, and we've taught you to use a few things. And initially when this was made, I'll do a bit more of it so you can see it. Initially when this was made, it was actually really difficult. It was very dark, and it was also, really punishing. And I definitely feel like later on we can sort of ramp up to that. But the more I played this and the more I messed with it, the more I thought actually, you know what? I'm kind of fine if this is just easy and fun. Now, for certain reasons that Keith brought up today and others have mentioned, it's too easy now because you've got a little bit too much air control. So I think you can do this sometimes, can't you, if you get it just right? Oops. Damn it. That was me doing that. That wasn't the game. That was me forgetting that I'd already put in a thing to handle that, to reset me, and just panic pressing the teleport button.
You can. It's not on... Well, it should be on that one as well, actually, because it's the same shape as the other one.
So
But
if you
yeah,
just run
you
off,
can just
sort
you
of,
can just it's so
Oh, no,
hard
hang
to
on.
do though.
I have
You're
to
not
say, and also like I get all my excuses in early. Like, yeah, all the streaming stuff takes just enough of the edge off the performance that it's hard to do those little things. But
Yeah.
anyway,
That's a tough repro. I don't know how I did it because I just ran off this the first time. I'm pretty sure I must have just let go of the stick a little bit
damn
at
it.
just the right time.
Yeah, there is. We certainly do have this window where you definitely get too much air control for like a split second. But anyway, long story short, like this thing, like yeah, obviously, like it's not hard, and but it's just it's just nice and fun. And once we start to get some more, once we actually get these things to feel properly reactive, which obviously they don't at the moment for a number of reasons we can go into, and obviously we can get some different music stuff going on. So I think it'll be just a nice, just a fun thing. It doesn't have to be hard. It makes me think more of something like, have you ever seen any of the like musical levels in any of the Rayman games?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not as easy as that, or as like rhythmic, but it's just nice. I don't think it has to be super hard. But I also feel like we can set up one like that, and then we can make one later that is super hard. We can tell people that when you see this is the kind of thing you should expect. Right, so we have the lockpicks, and again, actually, you know what? It's funny. It's the same pattern. You can apply to all of them. You can just have that, but just open lock doors using this. Don't need this bit. So that's I can probably just go in and do that actually. But yeah, this basically works. Boop, and includes everyone's favorite controversial feature. It's got a bit of zoom. Whoop. Have a look at the other one. Because yeah, I think like, so if the camera didn't move, basically, as in like it moves and it zooms at the same time, which always makes you feel a bit drunk, it would already be better. I should point out that so this wasn't added like as a deliberate thing. It's we were moving over everything to use that's interesting. Maybe they didn't work in release builds. Moving over to the point of interest system, so the camera's got these set of controls that are just like magnetizing it around, moving it about, and the lockpicks uses, well, I say a system would be a very kind way of describing the fact that it just kind of locked the camera or not, whereas now it's got the same attractor set up, and the zoom was just a test of like, well, what does this look like and is it working, sort of thing. And I expected art to be seething, but actually they weren't, so that's pretty encouraging. Because I think, again, I think the sort of path our game has taken has been like, here are a bunch of things we absolutely will never do, has gradually become, well, with restraint, if we have a reason, here's some stuff we can use, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Look at the little wiggly light.
Marvelous.
I do wonder, like, and maybe I want to move it slightly. Like the fact it's just so on the center, but having a light source on it is definitely cool, especially for the thing we got over here, which I'll get to. So yeah, hopefully, as we discussed earlier, hopefully this is memorable enough that when you return here, you can kind of reorientate yourself and realize how you got here. And also, if you look here, so Hester's gone now. I should probably turn off the bonfire. I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we used to. I think.
Probably. I just haven't done
it's
it.
just the whole Hester sequence, as you know, because it's had the wheels put back on it. The wheels fell off it. So
look at this.
Oh, check it out. Oh,
It's
who's putting in there though?
It's perfect.
Oh,
And
those
actually-
last-minute lift changes.
Yes.
Curses.
Yeah, as you may have spotted, the lift origin is now off, but we'll fix that. But
She
other than that,
probably doesn't need a frying pan either.
yeah, it's beautiful. I seem to recall that one of the animations, it's the idol, I think. Her only idol
it
has
is
it.
the idol, yeah.
Beautiful.
Of course. So we just need to take a copy of that with the frying pan out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But this one time we're going to use it.
Yeah. So, oh my God, this has been quite a thing. Like, the idea was, well, what you've seen, it's like, okay, what if she brings the lift down and hops off just to grab your attention and just a cool little moment. Wow. Yeah, okay. It's like, well, you build the sequence, and then the sequence has to work with all these objects that didn't work with before. And also we do lots of fun video game stuff where it's like we actually already have her here, but she's invisible, and the lift moves on it by itself. And then, you know, the lift silently teleports down and then is replaced. Well, it reappears when the sequence ends. But, I don't know, if you video game long enough, you just know that that's how everything is done, as much as you wish it wasn't. So you see this lift is either clockwise now or anti-clockwise, whatever that means, because it stops there on the way up, which actually I don't want anymore, but oh well. And then so we get to this other bit that you've been working on. So this is a bit that I'm interested to see what will happen when we actually take this out, you know, to test it with people, because this is quite far off from the main part, and I hope some people explore it.
So my rationale is that we get to the midden and we run to the lift.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyone who has not played or made this game will want to rub up against all of the walls and will encounter this door when it's locked. So they'll get the lockpicks and go, I remember a locked door. It was in that main place where everyone is. Let's go and open that. There is another way, but I think most people will remember the locked door. There's a parkour route through this as well, but I guess we can talk about that after you've gone this main route. Spawning dudes from patrol points.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what works? That works.
Does it work?
But it spawns them. Yeah, it spawns them a whole tile off the ground, and they just stay there.
Awesome.
But it does spawn them. So anyway, there's supposed to be 2 guys in there. I'll need to put NPCs in there to get grabbed by the patrols that are in there, because spawning
this pretty
them
much works. I've just realised. Is it just going to crash now?
Oh wait, we've got that guy.
Yeah, let's see, because we're nearly done, so let's just see what happens. If we crash, like, I'll just hop over to the editor like it was meant to happen. It's our only crash, right?
But what is it? It's when they touch a door and there aren't any doors here.
I mean, that's not the only one, but it's...
Oh, okay.
So yes. It's like playing on mega hard mode. It's like if they spot me, then the entire game crashes. But I reckon
that's basically how Ed and Keith play stealth games, though, right?
That's probably why they've never noticed.
I've been seen. Unacceptable.
Boop.
Shut it down.
Oh god, that queue is so annoying. So yeah, just to point out, there's still a couple of bugs, and one of my most irritating ones is obviously we do a bit of input queuing, so it's like, you know, if you press A a little bit too late, or in some cases too early, we'll just be like, okay, you can have that. I think I know what you meant. But sometimes you press A a long time ago, and it just goes, I'm going to hold on to that to when you really don't want it. And the most common time it comes up is you duck down here, and it just automatically just brings you back up. Oh, it's infuriating. But hopefully we can get that fixed in time.
What, triggering input that the player hasn't elected?
Yeah.
That's a doozy.
I mean, the worst ones are gone. I can't remember now, but there were some that were just like...
So there we go. Now we've discovered why I didn't make that platform any longer. Because if you do, you can just do what you just did instead of the slidey thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
The slidey thing?
Yeah, so you know the mushroom slides?
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're supposed to mantle down on that opposite platform and then jump across. Yeah,
I see. From here, like a mega long slide.
Do one of these and then... Boop.
Nice. Hang on, if I miss, I just fall to my death.
Yes, you do. Congratulations.
Okay.
Story's over, Chris. People can break their legs now.
And this is one of the ones I noticed. It just doesn't work. Is it not meant to work?
Oh, maybe I drag copied. No, I didn't drag copy the one.
Well, I don't know. There's a bunch of them that have just stopped working mysteriously. But I assume that's one supposed to work.
That one definitely is supposed to work. And has indeed worked in the past.
Boop. Oh, open this thing. What does it do? It opens the invisible food store, which is here. I've stolen invisible food. But I like this though. I think this works. Once that's obviously visible, it just starts to feel like a stealth game. You know, you feel clever that you've got around this guy. Feels, you know, there's enough movement around you that it feels like you've done some stuff.
Yeah.
Same with here as well. The only thing with this is these ones are also stuck, by the way, I seem to recall.
Oh, that's
no,
for you. Oh, no.
hang on, that
no.
one works. Let's see if... I'm sure there's at least one that doesn't because it was winding me up. No, that one doesn't work. But you know what?
Consistent. Well, they were copy drags of each other, so...
Ah, that's a good time. But this, again, this starts to feel like a stealth game. Even though like he's no threat at all, it just feels like you're doing a thing. It only took however many months. But
Yeah.
It's a game. And so, yeah, I should point out that the other route, which I think is cool, is like if people notice this up here, as I was rubbing up against before, if they realise that, well, I can wall run now, and hopefully they'd be like, well, that seems like a bad idea. But if I go over here, and this is nice, and it does something that we've yet to play with much, but I like for going forward, is you can wall run up these. We can allow people to wall run up any door, but we usually don't because it looks weird. But that is an example where it doesn't, so that's cool. I'm looking forward to doing stuff
going
like
to
that.
be sweet candy for being able to wall run up something. So you can. I was talking to Ed and Keith about this the other day, but you can see the obvious setup of putting one of those halfway up a wall open. So you have to run up and then kind of go into the cubby hole with it and close it behind you, and then presumably go and do some long protracted stealth section after that to loop back to where you were to run up the wall you wanted to run up in the first place.
Yes. And then
Delicious.
this guy's very happy that you got him the invisible food.
Oh,
And then this isn't done yet. So
this is assuredly not done yet. Yeah.
Spoilers. Oh my god. You can see it's going to be good though. But I think that's enough of what's going on there. We can hop over and talk about some stuff in a bit more detail, and I can have one more go. I won't press the same button again, but why doesn't my chat work? And where did the pop out button go? I've pressed it before, but it's gone.
I can't help you, Chris.
I know. Like, what the hell? Am I going to have to go to my own channel? Is that what's going to happen?
Oh, yes. You need to do that. Yeah. That's why. Congratulations. Don't use the profile of your.
Don't use the one that
pad.
says it's there to work.
Yeah. Not the one that's engineered for the purpose, because it doesn't work.
Okay, just a minute. Sorry, everyone. Why? Oh, I give up. It's been a pain. Whatever. You'll just have to keep an eye on it if anything comes up. Sorry. Yep. Okay, so I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so much has changed. It's difficult to find a point to to jump onto. So I'm not sure. I mean, most of this hasn't changed drastically, which is a relief because it still pretty much works. This does mostly work, but we were talking about it earlier today. Some stuff was always like just never felt quite right about it for me. If I do that, there we go. So originally, if I grab this, it was like this because you can see it slots in nicely to that. Okay, I haven't positioned it correctly, and I know art will be gnashing their teeth at my complete disregard for their grid. But
it's closer to what they think is right than before, though. So
yes. So this is about where you end up when the camera's like pulled in position. It's about here, and the player's up here. And it just drove me nuts that like all the interesting things were all just jammed up against this side. It just wasn't very balanced. And also, even though obviously we could have fixed this other ways, like it's not even close to the most obvious water source we have. So I just move it over here somewhere. And I think we'll move that over there. And then I learned way too much about water wheels the other day. I think we can actually like set this up properly so the water control.
We're all really well versed in medieval milling now.
Yeah, exactly. So we can set up something where the water drops off the top here and can go down the bottom. And then it gets my other favorite design thing of just we'll get more leading lines. We'll get more stuff that just points towards this, even though I think it's already obvious enough. As long as like you're not, literally drawing pink lines on the scene, you can never have too many. And I also think going forward, there is actually potential to use some belts and stuff to actually make this look like it would work. Which we'll wait and see how that goes on. But anyway, I think it's finally starting to become the set piece it needs to be. I mean, we were discussing it earlier. It's like if we just use it once, full stop, it's very expensive, and I agree. Like it's hard to justify. I still would try very hard because stuff in the first hour of the game is like super important, and a nice sort of chill moment where you have a nice little set piece here, but it also teaches you stuff. I mean, this area is pulling its weight, because it teaches you about, doing ledge grab to ledge grab, teaches you about the switches and things they might open. So it's not a pure art room, but I think it's something that will gradually deliver more and more. So yeah, I like this. I think we can make that work, and that's why it's all orange. And then I'm trying to think what other things we've been doing. I mean, so we've been trying to push the AI and other stuff earlier and earlier. So this guy's like right away.
Super early,
which, actually
Yes.
I think it works pretty well.
It's not super early. It's the right place now. I think we
Mhm.
looked. We just felt that the pacing. We needed this bit of tension early on, and just something that feels a bit more active and under threat, and that introducing the AI earlier, because otherwise it was until you got past that water wheel before we
Mhm.
really introduced the threat, and it just felt a little bit too long.
Which means that, so this is kind of empty now, because if you look at
Yeah.
it in terms of pacing, it's fine. But so like he used to be here, and then you would have another guy like you have this, and then you have these ones there. So now if you had this one there, it'd be like this and this and this and this before you got a weapon. And it's like, yeah, that's too much. You don't need that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll just see how this goes down. To be honest, I don't think anyone other than us is going to be offended by a room where nothing happens. But
No, and there's a reasonable amount of pressure on this area for moving between the more macroscopic areas of the map. So later on in the game, when you might be coming from more the Cradle or Sandglass Shrine side of things, back towards the midden, it's highly likely that you would push through. You may push through here through the Mushroom Farm and Tomb of Jabu. So, do we want to populate this more with dudes once you pass the initial portion of the game? I don't know.
yeah,
I
could
do.
Yeah. I think we can do that. And what was I going to say? Oh yes, and also it reminds me of something else. Like I've been more actively trying to reinforce is. So you notice that sometimes people still jump over these grates, like they don't think they're solid. Obviously I'm kind of blind to if the asset implies that or not, because I feel like it does, but I would say that. But now, like, I really double down on it. So for example, obviously this one, you have this, you open it, but you don't have to step on it. Fair enough. These ones here, you don't have to step on it, but you're likely to. But also I have this rat on here, and I have an option to have him wander or not. He doesn't wander until he's spooked, so he will always be there when you start. And also this guy walks across them. So I'm like, that's it. That's all I can do. Like, if you still don't think you can walk on those, I don't know what else I can do. But, I just thought that was relatively lightweight to get that to actually work.
So
What
there's some
else?
talk in chat about climbing water wheels. And I don't want to set the world on fire, but it would be interesting to attach grab points to those spokes, just saying. Because
I
it's an
think-
interesting way to gain height.
I'm looking at it. I'm genuinely looking at it. But
It would collide with other geometry. There's no way we could do it, Chris. It's
you
fine.
couldn't do it when it was moving.
It's not that we couldn't do it. It's just how would we make it do anything with the tile maps? How would we make them connect up? I think it would be super hard.
It would be
Interesting to see if it's
difficult.
possible, though.
Yeah, I mean, never say never. Well, the only thing I will say never is definitely not when it's moving, because that's just a nightmare. But
Oh, wait, you've got to point out my famous periodelia to art, and whether they did the spooky face on purpose, or whether we
no,
can
wait,
expect
they'll
it to be
delete
done by
it.
next time.
Okay, well, just for a second, I'll pause for a second. Does anyone see a spooky face?
It's so spooky.
Once you see it,
Cannot unsee.
yeah, I want to know if it's deliberate or not, but because I feel like it isn't. That also makes it better.
Of course it isn't. They would never do that on purpose, Chris. Never. They're going to be so annoyed that I've seen this. I'm going to change that now.
It's true. They would never do something fun. Yes, that is a fun thing. So speaking of stuff like that, so actually we should point out another thing as well. So, the whole point of all of these things is like, yeah, to add some visual polish and some sort of, impact early on in the game. But also, again, it's something...
It's
what's
deliberate.
Is it?
Wow.
Mind blown.
Thank goodness I don't wear hats, Chris.
Thank goodness I'm not wearing socks. They would
yes,
be blown
indeed.
clean off into the next room. Where was I? Yeah, so rooms like this, it's not just for visual splendor. It's some, it's a landmark that you can return to. And I think, this one has been the most telling, and it's my aim for the others not to literally put water wheels everywhere, but this is probably the one area not the one area in the game, but one of the few areas in the game we can all say, oh, the water wheel room, and everyone goes, yes, I do. And so we're aiming to make more of those because they make sense for a number of reasons. So we already discussed this one a little bit, which I wonder if I can't turn on the things, can I easily? Oh, well, you saw that in the game, so that's a nice little pretty thing. And also, this is another one, which we were discussing. We wanted to improve, didn't we?
Yeah.
So this room is, of what we've got so far, the most important for this because it's one of our first legit Metroidvania things. If I just try and do, what's the easiest way to do this? This will work. I'm sure there's a better way. So you have this thing where you come around the first time, and you come over here, and the hope is that you, to a degree, bounce off this and have a little look around here, but you can't really get anywhere. So pretty quickly, you're going to hop up over here, and then you do quite a lot more gameplay before you get the wall run unlock here. And so it's quite important, right, that we have the gating. So you must do this, you must do this. I should point out as well, we'll just go back over here. You can't get back out here, even with wall run. In fact, I should double check that. I'm sure you shouldn't be able to do that, but I should probably make sure.
You can't.
You shouldn't be able to do that.
That's too long a jump. So here's the thing. Yes, you probably can wall run those broken walls because you can wall run broken walls for some reason right now. However, that jump is too far. So
anyway, sorry, I should point out. So the idea is that once you enter this bit, you can only go this way. So we know you're going to come this way, and we'll know that you just have wall run. It's important that when you get to here, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this room. Because we don't, even though obviously you can, and maybe for other reasons you wanted to, we don't really want you to go these ways because there's nothing new there yet. So
certainly once you've unlocked wall run, you can go and rub up against all of the things in above that have been unlocked for that if you're that way inclined.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should point out, it's like if you wish to go that way, there will be, there's a couple I think, but we'll add more, that there's certainly things you can do that you couldn't before, and that's, classic Metroidvania fare. But it has to be a conscious choice that you go, okay, I realise that this is new, but I want to, double back on myself. And so the only way that's going to work is obviously if this is super memorable. So you're like, yes, I remember being here before. And it's not quite there yet. And we talked about it earlier today. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, like this statue is just too background. Like we don't want it, right. It's not a foreground layer. It's not like the stuff you walk on, but he's just very backgrounded there. So I don't think you really see it. And the other thing we noted as well is that the other thing we really want to do is, make it clear that, this is new. This is different. You haven't been here before. And so actually this is starting to do it. You've got this background area, which is obviously, literally it's a very different color, but, artists being natural artists, trying to nicely blend everything. Things like this kind of, take the edge off it. It's one of the few times where you just want this to be quite harsh. So you notice it. It's
a very subtle distinction, but yes, usually it's correct to make that blend soft to kind of give the caves, because it's a very hard blend point because we've got a lot of different biomes going on at once in very close proximity. So that seems natural to do, but actually we want it to be slightly jarring that there's the two hard edges to that organic shape saying, hey, there's a doorway over here that you should be interested in.
Yeah, and so this is this whole area has gone through so many iterations, but this is like, excuse me,
talks about grappling hook. Not to give anything away, but grappling hooks are too powerful.
Yeah, they are. The main thing, we kind of came to it accidentally with this game, but it's something that actually is gradually becoming a strength that in many Metroidvania games, gaining height is easy. You don't even think about it. Like between like double jumps and grappling hooks and things like that, there's no great achievement in going up. It doesn't really mean that much. In this game, it really does. It's the most difficult thing we have to do. So yeah, I don't want to undo that with something that powerful. We've talked about, I mean, we won't go into it just now, but we've talked about, some of the later unlocks, making going up considerably easier, but in a much more controlled manner. We don't want, having a super powerful grappling hook would just undermine like most of our cool controls. It's like,
Yes.
hey,
Yes,
those cool moves we've got. Do you just want to not do any of those ever again? Would kind of be what happened. So, as much as it's cool, it's not for us.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the best fit for us. We're very much about making you earn your positioning in this game, which is, I think, the right choice for a hard commitment to stealth in comparison to, say, another similar game with a grappling hook, Mark of the Ninja, where positioning is more about killing for most people, I think. And much faster paced stealth where you don't really have to wait too much and you can get into position right away.
Related to talking about the whole Metroidvania side of it, the reason this has had so many goes at it is because, I've said to everyone before, it's like, well, if we can't make this work, like this is like what a Metroidvania is. You need to kind of have that, if only I could do this, and then return and go, I can do this. And it's starting to get there. I mean, again,
we have a few of those moments now, like the one we hit previously where you do the lockpick unlock, even though we don't go and rub up against that door. And I mean, it is entirely possible that we could move that door up so it's at the edge of the midden, more so than like a corridor and then a door, if we find that people aren't hitting it, because we'll have to do some focus testing again reasonably soon.
For example, there's, depending on what people do, there's plenty of scope for it to be here instead. So you're much more likely to bump into it, or I mean, it can go some way in this area. But you're right, this is another one. But
this isn't even the one I was talking about. This one is definitely one because it's got a shiny cog. But I mean, right up at the top when you get back to the midden.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
to go to the food store.
Mm-hmm.
But that's less of a loop and more of a tantalizing door that you've not been through before that we hope the player remembers directly.
What was I going to say? And so, actually talking about that stuff before, all the leading lines and things like that, there's some of that stuff starts to be here as well, which I like. It's and I get to say I like this. I'm not being smug because I didn't actually make this. So this whole business here, where you can see that you'll return down here, and so you're likely to be coming down like this, and then you come down like this. And then it's up here, and it's like, delicious. It nearly works. It's not like perfect, but I hope to see that when we do a bit of playtesting, that people, if we can get people to land here-ish, then we're doing pretty good. And then sure, if people get there and then they just go, oh, cool, whatever, and disappear
I
off this way.
suppose swapping the relative lengths of those platforms on the right. Where you've got the wooden window that you go through the first time through, so that you don't actually drop onto the window platform to get tempted to go right there. So you drop straight past it might be a thing we can do.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
It'll come down to those kind of subtleties, though. I mean, we need to move the statue down so you get close to
this is the thing. It's like, this is a great example of the challenge of getting this right. So it's like, you don't want to literally tell them it's here because that's no fun. But if you think of all the things that will be in play here, right? So the statue is going to be more prominent in the middle. What an amazing statue that is. You have the way this is leading you in that direction and up here. But then that's not all right. We also have the camera system will be not heavily, but it will significantly be pulling it this way. Only on the return, it pulls the other direction.
Hybrid is trying to sonar ping all of our different motion abilities. You will get no more out of me, sir.
So it's worth a go. Wait, yes, so there's that. But then on top of that, we also have, 2 layers of fallback in that we have, if you don't get it after a short time, it will say there's a little wall run. The controller icon will come up. And if you still don't get it after a bit longer, then you can get your ghost to come up. And, all of that just to get someone to do a thing without resorting to the just telling them. So, we have all the components. I think it will work given time. So that's a good example of that. I'm trying to think of, those are some of the main things. Those are definitely something I've noticed coming through. We're starting to build these more memorable spaces. And I think that's most of it. Like, we've whipped through a lot of it. I think in the future now we're kind of back on track. We can definitely spend longer talking about individual things, but I think generally it was just worth catching up with how much has come along. So I'm trying to think, the last time would have been around the possibly even before the EGX Rezzed demo. So
Well, that would be it. I mean, it would be the EGX
Yeah.
Rezzed demo, or it would either be directly after. I think it was before though.
So thinking of that, most people got here and no further.
Yep.
And to be honest, we didn't have a great deal more. We had, you could have maybe got down to the wall run, and that was about it. So if you see that, we've got this entire section here. We're making significant, work in here. It's not quite there, but it's nearly there. And then you've got all of this, which is coming along pretty fast, and this up here. So I mean, it's a lot bigger. And also, I think, to be perfectly honest, I think that actually undersells a lot of the progress because, again, even though it doesn't seem like much, getting these two lifts. So when I talked about height, how difficult it is to gain height, getting these two lifts, getting you from down here to up here in a way that I don't feel feels overly contrived. It's like video game, it's a bit of contrivance obviously, but I don't think that feels awful. And again, you've got the whole with the wall run loop back in here. There's a lot of weight, design weight in this area, and it's taken a lot of goes.
Before you zoom in on the center, the point between those two lifts there, most edited tile map in the game.
Yeah, they have a lot of weight on them.
Yeah,
and it's nearly there.
And the spooky face.
Yes, and the spooky face. There's still a little bit more to do here, but it's like, because we talked about this lift thing may need to become some kind of control thing later, but it's so close now. Hopefully, he says that we'll see what testers make of it, but I think it's in a pretty good place. And as I said, what I'll get back to is diving in to more detail to specific features next time. But I thought because there was so much more of it, it was just worth kind of going through it. I don't think I've missed anything in particular. I think
that we can show anyway. I mean, there's lots of other progress in other areas, like audio has had a huge push this milestone.
Yes,
and
I think
it generally hasn't been shown off on stream, but we kind of need to do that more specifically. It's quite hard to show it in a playthrough.
I think what we'll do with that is we'll definitely try and do a playthrough where we focus on that. But I also think it's long overdue to do a nice video on it, like a proper YouTube video or something, because I definitely think we should do that. But yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of audio, so we'll get into that another time for sure. But yeah, I think that's a good place to stop, I think. So I'm going to say it again. We should do this more regularly now. Like, I'll be honest, like the last month or so has been pretty tough, and we just needed to focus on building what we've built. So I think that's been worth it. But now I'm not going to commit to every week, but I think every couple of weeks we can probably make this work. So the stability has returned. I think so. Okay, so I think that'll do it for today. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll be back again soon. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.